वाङ् मे मनसि प्रतिष्ठिता मनो मे वाचि प्रतिष्ठितम् आविराविर्म एधि वेदस्य मणिस्थ श्रुतं मे मा प्रहासीः अनेनाधीतेनाहुरात्रान् सन्दधामि ऋतं वदिष्यामि सत्यं वदिष्यामि तन्मामवतु तद्वक्तारमवतु अवतु माम् अवतु वक्तारमवतु वक्तारम् ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः Om. May my speech be firmly established in my mind. May the mind too be firmly established in my speech. O self-effulgent Lord, be revealed in my consciousness. May the truths of the scriptures come to me. May not what I learn from them ever forsake me. Let me live my life day and night according to their teachings. I shall speak what is appropriate. I shall speak the truth. May that protect me. May that protect the teacher. Om, peace, peace, peace. Let us feel the presence of this self-effulgent Lord in our heart as a spark, brilliant of light. Let us concentrate on that as our true self. I am light itself, ever pure, ever perfect. No darkness of ignorance in me. I am not the body or the mind or anything that changes. I am this unchanging, self-effulgent, pure light. As I feel this, my whole personality gets filled with that light. I am light. I am divine. And as this awareness rises, the whole universe around gets dissolved in this light. I am seeing that. It is the one without second. Ocean of brilliant, blissful luminosity. Everything, including time, space, causation, have dissolved in it. I am bliss itself. I am peace itself. Om, peace, peace, peace. So friends, let us begin with our usual opening chant. Tava kathamritam tapta jivanam kavibhiriditam kalmashapaham shravanamangalam Shrimadattatam bhuvi grinanti te bhurida janaha. We have been studying this Guru Bhav, the teachership, Sri Ramakrishna's appearance as teacher in his wonderful spiritual biography written by his direct disciple Swami Saradananda. And the chapter that we are studying is how all those wonderful aspirants and mendicants of that various places would come to that Dakshineshwar, the place where Sri Ramakrishna was living, and then how they got the benefit of Sri Ramakrishna's teachership. The speciality of this chapter is those mendicants were not coming to Sri Ramakrishna. They had not heard much of Sri Ramakrishna. They were on pilgrimage and going to various different holy places, and on the way they would stop at this place, Dakshineshwar, where there was a very good arrangement for their stay and food and so forth. So they chose this place to stay, and in course of that stay they got in touch with this teacher, the teachership of Sri Ramakrishna, unconsciously. Not that they were seeking somebody to teach them, but when they came there and then they got the illumination by the touch of Sri Ramakrishna, and thus their lives got illumined. They progressed on whatever different path they were walking upon. So this is, the teachership was not being sought, but you get it. Like you go in a place where there is, you went for a different purpose, but then there is a lot of breeze. So you get that breeze also. You didn't go there to get that breeze. So similarly, these various spiritual aspirants belonging to different sects, they came to Dakshineshwar and got the illuminating touch of Sri Ramakrishna's personality. So we saw quite a few such stories. Now one very illuminating is going to be discussed. It had been already told that how Sri Ramakrishna would get into that touch of the divine. He lived on these two planes. One of them is to some extent known to us, that staying on this plane of sense objects, you see the different shapes, forms, and interact with them through our sense organs. You talk to them, you get attracted to them or repelled from them. You behave with them as a normal person. So Sri Ramakrishna was on this plane, but not exactly on this plane. Along with this perception of various forms, he saw that all of them are actually permeated by the same self, the same God is actually appearing in these different forms. So, the forms were only quasi-real for him. They were real only for the purpose of, addressing, that's all. So, but actually he was very much aware of the same one reality appearing in all these different forms. Like you see a movie, you see different characters, and you follow the storyline. But you know that all that you are seeing is only the screen. The screen appears as this man and that woman, and then that mountain and those cars and the airplanes and all the incidents that are happening there. It is actually all the screen, and yet you are able to see the different people, different objects and interactions, even though you know it is actually screen. And therefore, even if you see a fire raging in the movie, you don't take out phone from your pocket and dial 911 that there is a big fire here. No, because you know it is actually screen. It is not fire. Even if you see a lot of nice edible things there, you don't move from your place to grab them because you know it is all screen. Even if our Vitthal sees there a chalupa being served, he won't get up from his seat to get one, because even he knows that it is actually screen, there is nothing else. So the objects will be seen along with the awareness of the screen. So there is no real value to the objects except for this relative purpose. Otherwise, God is permeating each and everything in that. So this is one consciousness of Sri Ramakrishna. The other is, just imagine before the movie actually started, there were no pictures, it was only screen. And after the movie is over, if you linger there, there is just screen, no pictures. So Sri Ramakrishna would go in that awareness now and then, very frequently, that where he would not perceive any forms, and that is only perception of the one without second. There was an intermediate stage also, intermediate just for our understanding. Don't think that it is really intermediate, but where the forms will not be what we see with our sense organs. They will be some divine form in a different realm. So that vision is also not available to us, although it is a kind of sense perception, but it is not our sense perception, like his vision of different gods and goddesses and all that, and getting merged in that field. So that was called Bhava Samadhi, means that world, although it was the name and that world of names and forms, but not the names and forms as we see, different names and forms. And what did not change in all these is his awareness that the God alone pervades all of them. So, and sometimes there would be no forms. That would be called like Nirvikalpa Samadhi. Only the awareness, pure consciousness, that alone was just prevailing there. So, with that awareness, he would mix with these mendicants, and then they would see in this very special person something that is like them, but immensely superior to them, in the sense that what they are seeking in their life is manifested there. So, they would thus get benefited by seeking advice from Sri Ramakrishna. And then Sri Ramakrishna would love them. That love was very special. And that love would not be, you cannot just this word is used, love. But that really doesn't mean the ordinarily what we call love. It is some mutual convenience, sometimes the sense of duty and all that. So you lovingly perform, they say for your child, you do everything lovingly, and then yes, you love your child, you love your spouse, you love your other relations, and so forth. But that love is not really the love because there is this sense of duty that it is mine. It is connected to me. So I must take care of my child. So that part is there in that love. I should do my duty towards parents. That sense is there. There is this I and mine and such things involved in that. So that is a love that we see in this society, which comes and goes. It doesn't stay too long. Like a child, it is more or less like the need of the hour. Need of the hour, like a child loves their parents because he or she needs parents. There is the need. But after the child becomes grown up, then doesn't feel the need as much. And so the feeling also dwindles to a great extent. The person as a child used to cling to parents, would get so very scared or not able to see what to do when he doesn't see the parents around, would be in that state. So, but then goes to college, becomes 20 years old and then goes to college and all. Now, the parents do not get response from this fellow. Even if they call, that child doesn't pick up the phone. That's my mom, I'll talk to her later sometimes. After all, what she asks, what did you eat and all that. It is, actually I have been told that by many. Oh, I'll talk to her later, She is my mom, she will ask the same, what did you eat today? And so forth. So actually one incident happened not about a decade ago or so. Very interesting. One mother wanted to talk to her son in the university and he was not responding. So what she decided, she found a way. She called from using that son's friend's phone. And then the phone got picked, So what it means is there is nothing wrong as such, nothing very strange in it either. The point is now the needs have shifted and therefore the love also has actually shifted. But yes, there is this sense of duty, sense of belonging, and the memories of that love for parents and all is there. And so there is that kind of thing gets called love now, a sense of responsibility, a sense of respect and duty. That is not really love. The love that Sri Ramakrishna used to have was of a very different degree. that it is the same self in everyone. Like the love for oneself doesn't go away. Love for I remains. Love for my changes because my keeps on changing, that yes, my house, I have love, but then that I will go to some other place to live, and then that changes. It is that my keeps on shifting and changing. My likings keep on changing. And therefore the love to my doesn't have much stability. So therefore, when you see the same self in all, that is what is really meant by love there. So that is how Sri Ramakrishna would deal with them. So today we shall read this account of one very special spiritual aspirant. His name was Narayana Shastri, and he was very much interested in studying all the different philosophies connected with the Vedas and even those which did not agree with Vedas. So the orthodox and unorthodox, but especially the orthodox philosophies, which are six as described. There are many subdivisions of them, but the six main schools are there. And then he came to Bengal to study one of them, Nyaya. Other schools he had already studied. And before that, he also got an offer to become the court scholar in the court of this king in Rajasthan, one king in Jaipur. So, but he rejected that offer because he thought that learning is more important now. And later on those positions can be thought of. Now let me concentrate on learning. So he came to Bengal because in Bengal that philosophy, Nyaya, was very prominently studied. Like these days people go to, if they want to study, say, law, they don't go to any university as such, where there is this very good teaching of this law. So they go to that university. There are some universities well known for this information technology. So they go to those schools because that is where that is taught very well. So that is what brought this Narayana Shastri to Bengal, and he studied this Nyaya philosophy there for many years. And then now, after completing that whatever graduation ceremony, or he, as before going back to his place, his home, he decided to stay visiting many important places in Bengal, and in the course of that he came to Dakshineshwar. So now what happened? It is, and he was already known as a Pandit, a scholar. So, but along with his being a very highly learned scholar, there is a distinction. He had the devotion to God. He had really the inner spirit that is mentioned here. He was not like ordinary Pandits. Along with his knowledge of the scriptures, he was gradually developing detachment. He understood clearly that one could not gain mastery over Vedanta and other scriptures merely by study without practice. And here comes the major difference, that many do not even now have an understanding of it. They think more study. Let me study this book. Okay, I have studied Vivek Chudamani. Now let me study this Brahma Sutra Bhashya of Shankaracharya. Then let me study more commentaries on this commentary. Then further, to get the proper understanding of that, let me study the principles of grammar. And it is endless study of books, forgetting that all these books really want you to develop a discernment and dispassion. So, this is the special feature of study of this person, that Narayan Shastri understood that one has to practice these principles, and what it means is actually developing dispassion and renunciation, discernment, dispassion, renunciation, all that has to come in life for the learning to actually get in. Otherwise, it is becoming just bookish. It is, you will learn, and many do like that. I have found really hundreds of such students of Vedanta, so-called students of Vedanta. They are bookish students. They will memorize the definitions. According to Vedanta Sar, this is the definition of dispassion. They can just recite it, but it is no different from a parrot reciting. The parrot recites anything, whatever it hears, it will just repeat like that. Whatever it is trained, it will recite like that. And so it is in our center, one center in near Kolkata had gone. They had a big campus, a very big educational complex. And as I entered, I heard, Jai Shri Ramakrishna, Jai Ma Sarada, Jai Shri Ramakrishna, Jai Ma Sarada. What is it? It was the two birds, One was saying Jai Shri Ramakrishna, other was saying Jai Ma Sharada. So now they didn't have any idea what is Shri Ramakrishna, what is Ma Sharada. Whatever they were trained to recite, when they see somebody coming in, they would keep on reciting that. So this saying the definition of detachment, dispassion, and discernment, that they will do very well. A parrot can do that too. But that is not really, the parrot doesn't understand anything. Of course, they say the story of an understanding parrot. It was in the shop for sale. Many such cannery was kept there. But then one of them was a little terrible. One lady who used to go to her work on that street. And then this parrot said, Jenny, you look ugly. And the Jenny, who naturally was upset, went to the owner, what is this, properly trained this. This is, I was walking and the bird is telling, Jenny, you look ugly. I don't think I can tolerate that. And then next day, the owner said, okay, we'll take a look at that. Next day again, the parrots said the same thing, Jenny, you look ugly. And then again she went to the owner, enough is enough. If I hear this again, I am going to twist the neck of this parrot. I am not going to spare it. What is this? And then the owner again pacified her. She went. Next day, she was conscious now. Or let me see, she was walking right in front of that shop. The parrot said, Jenny, you know. Didn't say anything. Jenny, you know. So, that is the parrot probably understood or taught by the owner, okay, say just that. But talking just a Vedanta without having any actual inclination, even inclination to practice it, to know the difference between that intellectual capabilities that you can keep on arguing about, that is what many think as the practice of the yoga of knowledge. Absolutely incorrect. Yoga of knowledge is not reading many books and prattling all that what is in that book. That is not yoga of knowledge at all. It is many think that, well, I am a jnana yogi, practitioner of yoga of knowledge. Why? Well, I have read all these Upanishads and all the commentaries, and then all the these other books, Vedanta Sar and Khanda Khadyam and Chitsukhi, name them, okay, come on, I can argue and show you how the world is unreal and the self alone is real. Just argument. There is no actual change in life. There is not even the desire to change the life. So, Narayan Shastri was not like that. He had this sincere desire to develop these great qualities in life and give up the world. If the world is unreal, you go to prove the world is unreal with the hope that by doing this you will get more fame. Many scholars will accept you as a man of intellectual eminence, and thus you will be given lot of honorarium, and then you will have lot of luxuries of life. Now what is the meaning? Is this the meaning of proving that the world is unreal? You run after it. What is it? This is all pseudo Vedanta, indigestion of Vedanta. That's it, that indigestion happens. You eat a lot of food, and many are like that, indigested Vedanta. Indigestion of Vedanta, because they read the book without paying commensurate attention to do the intense practice of what they have learned. So Narayan Shastri was very different. Sri Ramakrishna used to say that those who only talk of Vedanta, there was one such in person came in Dakshineshwar. He was well versed in scriptures and would quote that all world is unreal and so forth. But Sri Ramakrishna learned that this fellow lives an immoral life. And so he went to ask him about it. Hey, why you talk all these world is unreal, this, that, and why you are doing such things? He laughed and said, I will show you right now how that is unreal. When the whole world is unreal, all the immoral things that I indulged in, they are also unreal. Sri Ramakrishna, in his own, rustic way, said, I pee on your Vedanta. Is this Vedanta? And so that is the difference, friends, that what is being learned needs to be assimilated and would change the awareness of our, behavior, the awareness that powers the behavior. Now, when the awareness changes, the behavior also will change. So, this actual consciousness or awareness that the world is real should give way to the consciousness that God alone is real. And once you know that something is unreal, your mind will not at all go to that. It is unreal. Just as Vitthal will not go to pick up the chalupa from that movie if it is shown in the movie, because it is not real. What you know as unreal will not affect your life. That is why when you wake up and then the dream is gone, those things in the dream, they were not real. It was just a dream. In the dream, suppose you took $100 from me and promised that I will return promptly. When you wake up, you don't come to me. It would have been good if you come, that, okay, these are $100 I took from you. Why? Because it was just a dream. It was not real. So that is how Narayan Shastri's life was. With this intention, he wanted to practice Vedanta as a spiritual discipline, not just a means of collecting lot of honorariums and money and scholarships and whatnot. No, that is unreal. So this is what Shankaracharya calls this udara nimittam bahukrita vesha, that just to fill your belly, you need to have food. So for that purpose, many do different businesses. So everybody has to do something to earn. So somebody takes up the robes of a mendicant and then starts prattling Vedanta to get money. There are such people. I was in one such place where the monks come and stay for performing austerities, and there are a few places which give food to them. So one has to go there with a bag or something and there was that limited this thing that they would give some 4 or 5 those tortilla flats and some lentil soup. So that was being given. Now one day I stood in the line. There was a line, a few people were ahead of me, and then as I stood in the line, the gentleman who was distributing called me. You come. I said, there are these ahead of me, let them take, then I will come. Said, no, 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 you come. He almost compelled me to come. And as I went, I said, what's the matter? He said that they are not really the monks. They are part-time monks. What is this part-time monk? Means they actually have their families and that their land. But when there is no, that farm work is seasonal. So when that work is not there, to get food, they just change into the robes of monks and come here to get food. So various these means people employ to get food. So just scholarship becomes just like that. It doesn't go beyond. So therefore, as we mentioned earlier, this is page 591, 92. As we mentioned earlier, the Dakshineshwar Kali temple at that time had excellent arrangements for boarding and lodging guests, ascetics, sadhus, sannyasins, and Brahmin pandits. Shastri was a Brahmin, brahmacharin from a distant region, and moreover a great pandit. So it was not surprising that he was honored by being allowed to stay at Dakshineshwar as long as he wished. It was a charming place with all the necessary facilities for food and other things. In addition to the company of such a god-man. So Shastri decided to stay at Dakshineshwar for some time. What else could he do? The more he got to know the master, the more his love and respect for him grew. So, that is how his situation was. Shastri had read about the 7 planes of consciousness according to Vedanta. This is like that 6 chakras of the yogis. Instead of 6, they divide that journey in 7. So where they ultimately that the one realizes the ultimate truth, that is the last plane of awareness. So it is the 7 planes of consciousness. That is a journey or a spiritual evolution that goes on these lines. So it is described. The scriptures told him that as one's mind rises from the lower to the higher planes of consciousness, different experiences and visions take place simultaneously, and finally one arrives at Nirvikalpa Samadhi. In that state, one becomes immersed in the experience of Brahman, the indivisible, Satchidananda, existence, consciousness, bliss, absolute, immediately dissolving the worldly delusion that has accumulated throughout the succession of lives. It just goes away, all that just vanishes in a second, as if it never was there. Sometimes it is described as it vanishes like the horns of a rabbit. Horns of a rabbit. Sometimes they ask this question in the school, primary school, that how many horns a rabbit has? So some say 2. Actually there are no horns. They were the ears that look like horns. So when you come close, you see that they are ears. They appeared like horns. So now what happens to those horns? They never were there. They just appeared, but they actually were never there. So this whole world just vanishes. God alone is there. And then that is this world, these names and forms just dropped. You are not conscious of them anymore. That is the Nirvikalpa Samadhi. So, Shastri also realized that he merely uttered the word Samadhi, aparokshanubhuti, that is the direct knowledge. What we get from our sense organs and mind is indirect knowledge. Like I am seeing this as a, now what is it? That my eyes and mind, they generate this image and I have become conscious of that. It is not direct perception, it is generated through the mediacy of eyes and other sense organs and compiled together in the program there in your mind. So that is how you get these perceptions of the world. It is not real at all. It is not immediate perception, because now if you change these instruments, the perception will be different. Suppose somebody is blind. Now that blind will perceive but in a different way. Will not notice the shape, the height, the color of the skin, the color of the attire that he has put on. Nothing of that will be seen because it is not being perceived by eyes. So, it is the property of the eye, this mediacy of eye creates this illusion that this is like this is black, this is blue, this is yellow. It is just a matter how the eyes are. Some are therefore, color blind people. Many of them, that's not an unusual thing. So they are not always able to distinguish the colors. So they are told not to drive, especially when there are traffic lights. Let there be somebody else to tell them that, because they see red as green and green as that confusion. What will happen? You can imagine. So it is now that perception is therefore not an immediate perception. It is a mediate perception. Direct, immediate perception is where one transcends this mediacy of body and mind. Then you get the direct perception. So, and he wanted to have this direct perception of God and thus get into samadhi. Shastri, who can teach, he used to wonder, who can teach me and explain the hidden meaning of the scriptures? I must not miss this opportunity. I must learn from him the means of immediate knowledge of Brahman at any cost. Life is uncertain. Who knows when I shall die? Shall I die without attaining this true knowledge? No! It cannot be. At the least, I will try my utmost to realize God. Let my return home be postponed. Do it now. Don't make that future plan that after 2 years I will pay attention to realizing God. What will happen after 2 years? Are you sure that you will live for 2 years? Nobody. Here today, gone tomorrow. That was true even without corona. It is always that the life is uncertain. Nalini dalagata jalamati taralam. There is a beautiful Sanskrit that Shankaracharya's hymn, that just as the drop of water is moving all this thing, not steady at all on a lotus leaf, which is very slippery. So the water drop there doesn't stay very unsteady. It drops quickly. It doesn't stick there. So like that, the life is momentary, comes, goes without our being having this understanding how long. And yet we make plans. And what we do? Very illogical. We call ourselves very logical and very intelligent. We are so stupid that we keep the important things for later and unimportant things to be done now. The important thing is to be finished, because when the life will just extinguish, who knows? So pay attention to that which is really important. It is other things can wait. And there is a beautiful Sanskrit saying that ajaramaravat prajna vidyam artham cha chintayet. When you are thinking of getting this worldly knowledge and money and wealth, know that you have infinite time. You are immortal. There is no hurry about it. But grihiti vakesheshu mrityuna dharmam acharet. As if the death has held the tuft of your hair, knowing that, practice the truths of religion. Because that is the important thing. That is the most important. Once that is done, that takes care of it. This is the important thing one has to know. And Narayan Shastri knew that when one goes to travel, at least I do that, that what is the most important thing. Next morning, early morning, I have to leave. So, my ID, most important, otherwise I will not be able to board the train or plane. My ID is important. These days, the phone is very important. That I put these things first, the ID and the phone. Remaining, whether they come with me or not, the snack box comes with me, lunch box comes with me or not that important. If all the clothes I need, well, that can be not that important. First, let me take care of these essential things. So, similarly, as a human being, what is this life for? For God realization. For God realization. That is the most important thing. And so that has to become the most important priority. So Narayan Shastri was aware of that and therefore was thinking of that. We shall continue this discussion, very absorbing discussion, friends. But today the time is telling me, clock is right in front of me, can't neglect it. So we shall stop this here. Think of these ideas for 30 seconds or so, and if you have any questions, you can ask those. Yes, please, any question?
Yes, Swamiji, there are a couple of questions here.
Lot of?
No, couple.
Couple, okay.
Yeah. Charles Feldman, what austerities can we perform when we live in a technologically developed society? We automatically have enough food and shelter.
See, austerity is a mental condition, that I will not use anything beyond my need. Try to, see that you do not go for the pleasant and comfortable things in life. That is the austerity. There may be 1,000 things around you, but they should not have hold on you. They should not attract you. You use that only what is necessary, just use that. So, this is the practice of austerity, not to go for a comfortable and luxurious living. That does not depend on your means. Even if you are a homeless beggar, that doesn't mean you are performing austerities. You try to snatch whatever comforts are available and try to enjoy those things. A spiritually austere life means to the knowledge that there is no joy in that, I should not go after that. It is not the availability of means, it is that mental mode of austerity. That's enough. I don't want anything more. Even when you use it, you see that you do not look upon it as an object of enjoyment. Not to look upon anything as object of enjoyment, that is the significance or the inner content of this word austerity. It does not mean torturing the body, absolutely not. But disciplining the body is important too. Disciplining and torturing are two different things. Like we need to discipline ourselves without torturing ourselves. It may sound like torturing. Vittal, where is Vittal? Do we need discipline or not? Yes, yeah. And sometimes the discipline appears, especially if it is imposed by somebody else, then a torture. When it is just when you are a little child, you are helped in being disciplined by others. But then that help will not be available for too long. When you grow up, by that time you should learn to self-discipline. So, following this discipline is an austerity. It doesn't depend on what is available. There would be a lot of food available. Doesn't mean that I have to eat lot of food. Austerity, that it is like John Gallagher said, you indulge and you bulge. So that is what happens. Availability has nothing to do with austerity. And non-availability doesn't mean you are practicing austerity. No.
Next question, I think, is a continuation based on Charles' comments. It is from Paduka. One might consider being austere with one's time, ? One might consider being austere with one's time.
Well, the things that you are using, they will change from time to time. But that is why it is a mental mode, a spirit. Austerity is not an external something, but an internal attitude of looking at things and coming in contact with them, using them. That is the austerity. Yeah.
This is austerity with one's time. How do you use your time? I think that's what you
Oh, that is what the meaning is.
Yeah, I
Okay,
think so,
okay.
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, use your time, because it is, you don't have much time. Exactly, very good, Paduka, that it is important. That the time is a big thing and it is very little available. So don't waste it. Don't be wasteful about time. Make best use of it. Yeah, correct.
Okay, there is a question from Taposhi Mitra. If one gets into a habit of repeating the mantra without thinking or realizing, is it of no use?
Well, everything has some use. At least you do not say bad things while you are doing mantra. At least you are repeating the name of God, doing something that is good. But it has minimal use, you have that capability of using it to the great, that you can uncover the great potential hidden in that mantra by actually realizing the truth of it. But if you are doing just japam, it will have some use, not absolutely no use. Yeah.
There is another question from Sucheta Ghule.
Yes.
Are the austerities like Narmada Parikrama helpful for spiritual life?
Well, depends on the attitude. As I mentioned in the beginning, that a particular thing cannot be termed as austerity or not austerity. It is the mental makeup with which you are doing it that decides whether it is austerity or not austerity. Like some would perform Narmada Parikrama because it is told in scriptures, and when I do it, I will get to, do lot of meditation, and I will experience the grace of God. I will meet many these different spiritual aspirants and great souls. With that you do Narmada Parikrama, then it is a spiritual austerity. You deprive yourselves of so many things. But there is this also there, that okay, I will deprive myself of these things so that I will, a great power will come to me. The powers to perform various miracles and all, that would come to me. There is other thing also, that okay, I will go to Narmada Parikrama and then write a book about it and get lot of fame, name and money out of it. That is also this. So Narmada Parikrama, whether it is austerity and whether it is spiritual austerity or not, depends on how, with what attitude one takes it up. There is nothing much as austerity just by giving up various things. You get used to it. It is absolutely, there is nothing much to it. Even if you don't have, first you feel that like one being used to some particular dietary menu, and you like it, you get used to it, you crave for it. But if it is not there, initially you may feel bad about it. But then you get used to it. You start liking it. So that is how you adapt to new situations. So there is no austerity as such in any of that. It depends on the spirit with which it is undertaken. Otherwise you get used to it. That's it, It is like, it is attending the Vedanta classes. Is it austerity? Well, yes and no, depends on how you look at it, how you want to make use of it. So, it is, a thing is neither austerity or non-austerity, it depends on our attitude towards it. Yeah.
That's it,
Yes, Abhijit?
So, in the path of jnana,
Yeah,
they say Shravana, Manana, Nidhi.
yeah.
Keep repeating, keep repeating. Now I haven't understood, I have become a parrot, what should I do? Keep more, repeat, listen, study, meditate. So that's pretty much the prescription, that you do more of it.
Well, not just more in quantity. Improvement of quality is important there. Just listen means not like you have a recording instrument and it listens and that's it. It doesn't understand anything. So, that is not really Shravana. The word Shravana as described and illustrated in Vedanta scriptures like Vedanta Sar. What is listening? Appreciating the meaning of it is listening. Otherwise it is not, it doesn't qualify as listening. It is like many just keep on, they have been, I am also one of them, that some hymns, Sanskrit hymns, that I keep on repeating while taking bath, while taking shower, I repeat it. Now, how much that is actually Shravana or Manana depends on the attitude. It is, so you have to absorb it, get the understanding of it. Then that is listening. Then manana, the meditating on or contemplating has been defined there. That when you hear, the opposite thoughts rise in your mind because of the ignorance. The mind does not want to accept them. So, there will be the opposite thoughts coming in mind against what has been heard. That, oh, no, God alone is real, but that God is in all. So, my loving somebody, my attachment to my cat is like God. Why should I give it up? Well, such thoughts would come against the scriptural injunctions. So, you have to therefore, by contemplation or meditation, you have to eliminate those what in that Bhaskwareshwaranandji in his these classes used to call. These are attacks of Maya. Attacks of Maya come to us. So for removing those, countering those attacks of Maya is manana. The result is now you become convinced of this. Now hold on to this conviction, and this conviction then can become realization. That is called nididhyasana. Shravana, manana, nididhyasana. So it's a process that culminates in realization. That is how that passage begins in Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. The first line and the ending of that indicates that Atma vai are drashtavyah. This self is to be realized, experienced. How to do it? Shravana, manana, nididhyasana. That it is shrotavyo, mantavyo, nididhyasitavyah. And then After saying this, again brings that by doing this, Shravanena, Mananena, Nididhyasanena, that all that it becomes known to you. Now you have the immediate understanding or knowledge of that reality. So that is the process. It is not just listening, but listen, keep on listening till the meaning flashes. That is the idea. You have to be told twice, thrice, 4 times, till, and every time you get a little bit of it. So that is how the process is described. Yes, Sharada?
My question is, when you were discussing about like not saving things for last and focusing on what's most important,
Yeah.
is there a lesson to be learned from the single-mindedness that we see in animals, where an animal will focus very specifically on one thing,
Yeah.
they become very fixed, and if you move them, they'll continue back to that one.
Yeah, that is true. That part is to be learned from animal, but not like animal. Because the animals being instinctive, their attention is automatically focused on what is needed at that time for their physical sustenance. But that part is to be taken, that they cannot be pulled away from that. Yeah, correct. So, okay, let us conclude with the closing prayers. May the Divine, who is Father in heaven of the Christians, Holy One of the Jewish faith, Allah of the Muslims, Buddha of the Buddhists, Tao of the Taoists, Great Spirit of the Native Americans, Ahur Mazda of the Zoroastrians, and Brahman of the Hindus, lead us from the unreal to the real, from darkness to light, from death to immortality. May the all-loving being manifest himself unto us and grant us abiding understanding and all-consuming divine love. Peace, peace, peace be unto all.